How the Grinch Stole Christmas by
Yay.
Dr. Seuss.
How did it happen? Ooh. Ah.
This book will tell you.
It's not a question, it's telling you.
Eventually.
Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot.
Ooh, shot. What?
But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. Could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
Oh.
Oh, that's so sweet. Ah. I missed the first food part.
It's okay.
Ooh.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm-lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ah.
Took long enough.
Food coma.
Yeah.
You don't get to use that yet. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early, they'd rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise. Oh the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. There's a picture of the noise.
Grab me.
Ooh.
Ah.
Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast and they'd feast. And they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
Ooh.
We know you're not paying attention when you start oohing and ahhing before I even turn the book around.
I oohed nod after. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're on cue, dude.
Somebody oohed.
We can't quite hear you, so I had to get closer.
I booed.
I only odd. I was.
And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how?
Boo.
That was a good little piece there, though.
What? Jen's
Pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, that's what
Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick. With his coat and his hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer, the Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, and then the Grinch took some red thread. He tied a big horn on the top of his head.
Boo.
Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. And the Grinch said giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, the quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. Children. When he came to the first little house on the square. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. And he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist.
Oh, terrible Grinch.
Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go.
Boo.
Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimbley.
Oh.
Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash.
Oh no.
Oh. Dude.
Rude.
Rude.
Did you guys see that one and taking the Who hash, man?
That's just wrong.
Some real Grinch shit.
Boo.
And he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up you too.
Excuse me. I never heard that part before.
I'm totally listening.
That's because it's new.
New Jake. Captain Obvious.
You two pipe down.
Dramatic.
Kona, don't go over there. Don't get involved. Rue moved away for a reason. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove, who better be ready, and turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here.
Ooh.
Ah.
premature oohing here. And his fib fooled the child and then patted her head. And he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And when the Cindy Lou Who went to Who bed with her cup, went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Shout in this freaking place to get her around.
And then she fell down the stairs.
The last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. The one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse.
Nasty old Grinch.
Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses.
Said like a true warrior. Ooh. Ah. You handsome baby.
Seems to me like there's plenty of wives and children to eat.
Oh. Wow.
The mice. It was 15:15 dawn, and all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings.
Ooh.
3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Poo-poo to the Who's. He was grinchiously humming, while they're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then all the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo. Who?
Granny's trying to kill everyone.
What the fuck is going on? Jesus Christ. Did everybody get something I didn't get a part of or what? Damn.
I beat.
You pee.
Oh, that's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused and the Grinch put a hand to his ear. He did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry very. And the Grinch stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. He shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Well, congratulations, everybody. I think we've successfully made this the longest Grinch reading so far.
You're doing great. It's all because Granny's peeing.
Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming, it came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. No, I was gonna pee. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow stood puzzling, how could it be so? Came without ribbons, came without tags, came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore, and then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
Ooh. Ah.
Somebody put them in the water. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.
Oh, yay.
That took a lot out of me right
Good
there.
job.
Congratulations.
Good job, baby. Good job.